Imagine living in a time when powerful kings ruled vast lands, armies marched across continents, and war was considered a man's domain. Now imagine a woman so fearless, so skilled in battle, that entire kingdoms trembled at the mention of her name. A queen who rode at the head of thousands of warriors. A queen who expanded her kingdom farther than any ruler before her. A queen whose enemies built walls out of fear. A queen whose legend has survived for more than 400 years. This is the story of Queen Amina, the warrior ruler of Zazzau, a woman whose courage transformed a kingdom and whose name became immortal in African history. But before she became a queen, before she became a conqueror, before songs were sung in her honor, she was simply a young princess with a dream that few believed was possible. This is her story. Long before modern Africa existed, the lands of West Africa were home to powerful kingdoms connected by trade, culture, and tradition. Among these kingdoms stood Zazzau, a prosperous state located in what is now northern Africa. Zazzau was known for its wealth, skilled merchants, and strategic position along important trade routes. It was here that a girl named Amina was born into royalty. Her grandfather was a respected ruler, and her family belonged to one of the most powerful royal lineages in the region. From the moment she entered the world, many expected her future to follow a familiar path. She would grow up in the palace. She would learn the customs of leadership. She would marry a nobleman. And she would support the kingdom from behind the scenes. But Amina had other plans. Unlike many children of her time, she showed little interest in luxury. The stories that fascinated her were not tales of grand feasts or beautiful clothing. She was captivated by stories of warriors. She listened closely whenever soldiers returned from distant campaigns. She asked endless questions about battles, strategy, and leadership. The older she became, the clearer it was that she possessed an unusual spirit. While others admired strength from a distance, Amina wanted to understand it. She wanted to master it. As a young girl, she spent hours watching military drills. She observed how soldiers moved in formation. She studied how commanders gave orders. She learned how discipline could transform ordinary people into a powerful fighting force. Many were surprised by her interest. Some laughed. Others dismissed her curiosity as a phase. But Amina continued learning. Her determination soon caught the attention of her family. Instead of discouraging her, they allowed her to receive training alongside warriors. It was an opportunity few women of her era could have imagined. The training was difficult. The sun was unforgiving. The exercises pushed the body to its limits. Yet Amina never complained. If the soldiers trained for 1 hour, she trained for 2. If they rode horses across the fields, she rode farther. If they practiced with weapons, she practiced until exhaustion. Over time, her skills became impossible to ignore. She grew into a remarkable horse rider. She became skilled in military tactics. Most importantly, she developed confidence. Not arrogance. Not pride. Confidence. The confidence that comes from preparation and discipline. As she entered adulthood, Amina earned the respect of soldiers who had once doubted her. They saw her commitment. They saw her courage. And they began to believe she was destined for greatness. Her mother eventually became ruler of Zazzau. This brought Amina even closer to the responsibilities of leadership. She attended meetings. She observed political negotiations. She learned how rulers balanced diplomacy and power. But while others focused on court politics, Amina never lost her fascination with military leadership. She understood something important. A kingdom's wealth could attract prosperity. But it could also attract enemies. And if Zazzau wished to survive and thrive, it needed strength. The young princess was preparing for a future that would change history. She just didn't know it yet. As the years passed, Amina's reputation spread far beyond the palace. People spoke of the royal woman who trained like a soldier. The princess who could ride for hours without rest. The noblewoman who understood military strategy better than many commanders. But reputation alone was not enough. Soon she would face a true test. The region surrounding Zazzau was competitive and often dangerous. Kingdoms competed for trade routes. Rulers sought influence. Conflicts erupted over resources and territory. Military strength was essential. Amina began participating in campaigns alongside experienced warriors. For the first time, she witnessed the realities of warfare. The fear. The uncertainty. The responsibility. Stories made war sound glorious. Reality was far more complicated. Yet instead of shrinking from these challenges, Amina grew stronger. She learned how to make decisions under pressure. She learned how to inspire confidence in others. She learned that leadership required sacrifice. Each campaign added to her experience. Each victory expanded her knowledge. And with every challenge, her reputation continued to grow. Soldiers admired her courage. Commanders respected her judgment. The people began to see her as more than a princess. They saw a leader. Eventually, tragedy struck. The ruler of Zazzau passed away. Leadership transferred to Amina's brother. During his reign, Amina continued serving the kingdom. She remained one of its most respected military figures. She advised leaders. She strengthened alliances. She prepared for future challenges. Then fate intervened once again. After her brother's death, the path to leadership opened. The kingdom needed a ruler. Amina stepped forward. For many people, it was an extraordinary moment. A woman was about to lead one of the region's most important states. Some questioned the decision. Others worried about tradition. But Amina had spent years proving herself. She had earned trust through action. Not promises. Not titles. Action. When she became ruler, she inherited a kingdom with great potential. Yet she was not satisfied with maintaining the status quo. She envisioned something larger. Something stronger. She wanted Zazzau to become a dominant power. To achieve that goal, she would need courage, strategy, and determination. Fortunately, those were qualities she possessed in abundance. Amina reorganized military forces. She improved training. She strengthened defenses. She ensured soldiers were prepared for future campaigns. Then she turned her attention outward. Trade routes represented opportunity. Control of those routes could bring wealth and influence. Amina understood this better than most rulers. She launched a series of military expeditions designed to secure strategic territories. Her campaigns were ambitious. Some considered them risky. Yet again and again, she succeeded. Villages became allies. Territories expanded. Trade increased. The kingdom grew richer and stronger. Word spread rapidly. Amina was no ordinary ruler. She was a conqueror. And her story was only beginning. The rise of Queen Amina marked the beginning of an extraordinary era. Under her leadership, Zazzau entered a period of expansion unlike anything it had experienced before. Army after army marched under her command. Horsemen crossed vast distances. Banners flew proudly in the wind. And at the center of it all rode Amina herself. Legend says she personally led military expeditions. Whether facing danger or uncertainty, she remained visible to her warriors. This inspired tremendous loyalty. Soldiers fight differently when they believe in their leader. And Amina gave them every reason to believe. Her campaigns were not random acts of conquest. They were carefully planned. Each victory strengthened trade networks. Each new territory increased security. Each success expanded the kingdom's influence. Over time, her achievements became remarkable. The borders of Zazzau extended farther than ever before. Merchants traveled through territories connected by her power. Economic opportunities multiplied. Wealth flowed into the kingdom. But military victories were only part of her legacy. Amina also focused on protecting what she conquered. According to tradition, defensive walls were constructed around settlements and strategic locations. These fortifications helped secure territories and discourage attacks. Many stories claim these structures became known as Amina's walls. Whether every tale is historically precise remains a matter of debate. What matters is the impact of the legend. Generations remembered her not only as a conqueror but also as a protector. Someone who built as well as conquered. As her influence grew, Neighboring rulers paid close attention. Some sought alliances. Others watched with concern. Amina had become one of the most powerful figures in the region. Her name carried weight. Her reputation inspired both admiration and fear. Stories about her spread from village to village. Travelers carried news of her achievements. Merchants repeated tales of her campaigns. Children listened with wonder. Warriors listened with respect. Her story became larger than life. Some legends claim she never married because she dedicated herself entirely to leadership and conquest. Others tell dramatic stories about her relationships and adventures. Over the centuries, many versions emerged. History and legend intertwined. Facts mixed with folklore. This often happens when a person becomes legendary. Their life transcends ordinary storytelling. People begin adding details. Exaggerations appear. New tales emerge. Yet beneath all these stories lies an undeniable truth. Queen Amina was extraordinary. Her accomplishments were significant enough to survive generations of retelling. Few rulers achieved that. Most are forgotten. Amina was remembered. And as her power reached its peak, she became a symbol of possibility. She challenged expectations. She shattered limitations. She proved that leadership is determined by ability, not assumptions. For countless people, her story became a source of inspiration. The warrior queen had transformed her kingdom. But the greatest part of her legacy was still to come. Time is powerful. It erases cities. It changes borders. It causes empires to rise and fall. Many rulers who once commanded vast armies have disappeared from memory. Yet Queen Amina remains remembered centuries later. Why? Because her story represents more than military victories. It represents courage, determination, vision, and the refusal to accept limitations. After her reign, generations continued telling stories about her. Parents shared her legend with their children. Elders passed her story to younger generations. Historians recorded accounts of her achievements. Poets celebrated her bravery. The warrior queen became part of cultural memory. Over time, the details evolved. Some stories emphasized her military genius. Others highlighted her independence. Others focused on her courage and leadership. Together, these stories created a powerful legend. Today, Queen Amina remains one of the most famous figures in African history. Schools teach about her. Books discuss her accomplishments. Films and creative works draw inspiration from her life. Her name continues to resonate far beyond the lands she once ruled. What makes her story especially remarkable is the era in which she lived. Leadership opportunities for women were often limited. Expectations were rigid. Traditions were powerful. Yet Amina refused to let those expectations define her future. She chose her own path. And by doing so, she changed history. The legend of Queen Amina reminds us that greatness often begins with curiosity. A young girl watched soldiers train. A young princess became fascinated by strategy and leadership. Many people underestimated her. Some doubted her. Yet she continued moving forward. Step by step. Challenge by challenge. Victory by victory. Until her name became immortal. Perhaps that is why her story still captivates audiences today. It is not merely a tale of war. It is a tale of ambition. Of courage. Of perseverance. It is the story of someone who looked beyond what was expected and imagined something greater. Centuries have passed since Queen Amina rode across the lands of West Africa. The kingdoms have changed. The world has changed. But her legend remains. And as long as people continue telling stories of courage and determination, the warrior Queen of Zazzau will never truly be forgotten. Because legends do not live in palaces. They do not live in armies. They do not live in wars. They live in memory. And Queen Amina's memory continues to endure, inspiring new generations to dream bigger, aim higher, and face challenges with the same fearless spirit that made her legend. The warrior queen may be gone. But her story